What is up, guys? Back with another video. This is going to be your guys' official console tier list for the Paladins Sands of Myth update. If you guys want me to continue doing these tier lists and you guys like this format, please let me know. We'll see if we can get this video to 20 likes. Also, I would like to thank you guys for the support on the last video. If you guys could be as kind enough to share this video as well, wherever, it honestly just really helps me out and does wonders for the channel and for my content and stuff like that. Now, originally, I was actually just going to throw like a lot of the champions up there that, in my opinion, haven't really seen too much changes or anything really that differently already up onto the tier list and onto the board. But you guys seemed to like my format for my last video where I go in depth and just explain pretty much everything. Granted, it was a first update of a new season, but you guys, most of you guys at least, told me that you guys want me to keep doing that format of video for my tier list. So if you guys want me to continue doing that, or you guys want me to just like try to shorten the video down and just throw some stuff up that hasn't really changed already on before the video starts, let me know. If you guys' feedback is greatly appreciated as to what you guys want to see. Apart from that, if you're also new, I'm a Switch console vet. I've got 3,500 hours onto the Switch version of the game. Been playing since the Switch version of the game, since day one came to the Switch. With that out of the way, I've pretty much played ranked. The update's been out since about Wednesday morning. I've played ranked about half of Wednesday, half of Thursday because servers were down and ranked was shut down for about half of Thursday, all of Friday, and I'm recording this Saturday afternoon. You guys might see this in a couple hours, depending if I feel like uploading it or not and how it renders, how long it takes. But I think I've got a pretty good grasp on like everything currently, everything that's changed, everything with ranked and stuff like that. So apart from being ranked being absolute AIDS with matchmaking, probably the worst it's ever been, which is an entirely different video. I play as much ranked as possible, and I think I'm able to do a list now, at least for what we've got and what we've been given. So, all you guys have probably been wondering about Tiberius. I finally got Tiberius onto the board. I'm going to talk about him first. Tiberius, I'm going to actually put in an S. I think Tiberius in ranked, being released in ranked actually Tiberius is actually a really good check, just a couple of different things. Mainly things like Talus, stuff like that can easily burst Talus and things like Sky down. Normally I'd say Sky and Talus are like bans, but if you plan on picking Tiberius, Tiberius is probably one of the best checks in the game, alongside maybe like Leon and maybe like Andro for Talus, I guess. Not really for Sky, but for those types of characters. In my honest opinion, they did nerf his cards as well. They nerfed his bladed chalkworms. I think he would get a heal every time you'd hit a chalkworm. I think they nerfed that a little bit. It doesn't really matter. And they also nerfed the alt rate during your combat trance, which honestly you can still run at a 5 and get away with. Your alt is still just as spammable as before. Not really even that much of a nerf. In my honest opinion, Tiberius is pretty much like the same thing as Leon, right? Instead of having 3 spammable abilities and auto aim, Tiberius has one super strong spammable ability being combat trance. What you do with Tiberius, every game you're going to be stacking Chronos 3, you're going to be getting your Wrecker, you're going to be getting your Cauterize. Mainly Cauterize 3 and Chronos 3 is what you really need. Apart from that, maybe Nimble, maybe Morale Boost, whatever you want to pick up after that, it's pretty much up to you, but you're going to be stacking those 2 things pretty much every game with him. Just like super bursty, like I said, compared to Leon. The only thing Tiberius doesn't have over Leon is like an elimination reduction card, where Leon, every time she gets a kill or elimination, her cooldowns are reset. Tiberius does not have that, but arguably Tiberius has more damage during his burst with combat trance anyways, and a lot more 1v1 potential depending on your loadout. So I think Tiberius is really solid, especially versus things like I said, like really squishy characters. You can 1v1 things like Vic depending on your loadout. Even with the lifesteal and stuff like that, you do pretty good versus a 1v1 Vic. You're able to burst things down like Imani. Supports really can't do much to you. I'd say maybe like the only thing that maybe can 1v1 you as for like DPS wise is maybe Vivian, just because of her shield. Apart from that, against tanks, he's pretty decent against tanks. I'd say the only thing he kind of struggles with is kind of Rom, just because he really doesn't do too much damage if he doesn't have his combat trance up versus Rom. But still, he still does a shitload of damage. I still even pick him up versus like a team with Rom, just because he's still super good. Andro, probably the third best flank in the game currently, in my honest opinion. Not really going to talk about him very much. If you guys want to hear me talk about him more in depth, go back to my last Tierlist video, which is currently on the channel. Still insane amounts of damage. They haven't really changed anything with him. Great mobility, great poke. Nothing's really changed with him. Just overall super solid. I'd say the third best flank currently on console. Ashe, A. They gave her old damage back. She's now buffed back up to 400. I don't know. I'd say she's extremely average. I think Ashe is really lacking something to where a lot of the other off tanks have currently. Being like the top tier tanks like Rom, Khan, stuff like that, Terminus. She's just lacking something. I don't know what it is. She's able to make decent space. I really just don't think her shield is like at base still has like barely any health. Maybe they can buff her base shield. I don't know what they honestly have to do with it. She needs some type of buff to bump her up a little bit higher tier. She ain't bad by any means. I think she's extremely average now as like an off tank. As a point tank, she's garbage, but as off tank to create space and make disruption in the back line, she's still can do that decently well. Atlas, I'm gonna put Atlas at an A, just because I think Atlas right now, with all the other off tanks in the game, kind of is overshadowed. He's not bad by any means. Big wall spam. He has a certain loadout that's absolutely insane. He has a loadout where if you land your setback onto somebody, it reduces it by 5 seconds. Then you also stack Chronos 3. You have your entire stasis field that covers like the entirety of the map on like an 8-second cooldown with Chronos 3 every time. Absolutely insane. Great into things like a sniper. If you're going against like a sniper, they can't do stuff for like 5 seconds. Meanwhile, you can get some decent poke onto them. He has decent disruption. He's able to go in the back line, cause havoc. I don't know. He's still super solid. He's a little bit overshadowed by a lot of the other tanks in the game currently. That and being with a lot of CC currently in the game, his rewind gets stopped by things like a Nara cripple, stuff like that. A lot of CC currently in the game, I think, is what also holds him back. He's not able to reliably dive as well than he was like a patch or two ago. They're still one of the best point tanks in the game. They nerfed some of his self-sustain with his turrets, and I think one of his other cards that gave him a cooldown reduction, I think was one-man scrap. They nerfed that from like 30 to I think 20% or something like that. He still has insane amounts of self-sustain. Those nerfs didn't really do anything to him. He's still top tier point tank. Bomb King, I'm actually gonna move Bomb King up to an A, just for the sheer fact that I think if you can play at least a half decent Bomb King on console and you know if you have decent aim, you know what to do. He's very hard to play into, just because he does so much fucking damage, and healers really can't keep up. The only reason I'm putting him in an A is just because the sheer amount of damage he does. If he didn't even do like 900 damage per bomb, I'd probably put him. If he did like 700 or like 600, I'd still put him at like a B. But just because he's super hard to play into, and at least for healers to keep up with the sheer amount of damage he can just throw out currently, I'm gonna put him at an A. Now, if this is PC, Bomb King currently on PC is I think top tier from what I've been hearing, but on console he's a lot harder to play. Gonna put him at an A. Buck, B. Like I said before in like the last tier list, Buck just lacks long range poke. He has to like legit be up right in your face to do any types of damage. I don't know. Yeah, he did get a little bit better. He's able to sustain himself a little bit more now, just because Cauterize got nerfed. But I still think he's just very situational. There's a few maps you can pull him out on and do decent with. Jaguar Falls, Stone Keep are probably two of his best maps. Apart from that, I wouldn't really, unless you have like a specific comp like built around him, I wouldn't even touch him over a lot of the other flanks. Cassie B. The only reason I have Cassie at a B and not a C is probably because Rom is super common and probably the only character in the game that can like 1v1 a Rom and not instantly get killed or get worn down. by him. Apart from that, I guess she has decent burst. She has like a burst combo currently with I think it's blast talent and like an arrow, which I think is like 1100 burst. If you can land the shots, which is a lot harder to do on console just because she's a projectile. But I think she's still super solid on PC from what I've been hearing. On console, I'd put her at a B. Very situational. You're not going to be picking her up over a lot of the other projectile champions in the game. And the other ones are way easier to play over Cassie. Dredge Age. Dredge I'm actually going to move up just because I think Dredge right now, out of a lot of the blasters, I think he's actually solid. The only problem with him is he gets dove insanely easy. Apart from that, he just moves super slow. Those are the only two drawbacks that I have with Dredge currently. Apart from that, he does insane damage. He has an ult that if you can land and at least get one kill with your ult every team fight or anytime you need with your ult, that's value, and that's a huge amount of value just because it's 4,000 damage now again. And being that ROM and stuff like that are super common right now, Terminus, which moves reasonably slow, ROM, which moves insanely slow and really can't do anything if he doesn't have his dash up. You just spam broadside. You can legit just chip down ROM very easily. Probably one of the better checks, like at least for like blasters for ROM currently, is Dredge. As long as he's not getting dove the entire game. If you just let a Dredge just sit there and just spam the point or spam a certain area, and let him get his scuttle and his deft hands fully built up through the item shop, he can be a pain to deal with currently. That's the only reason I'm gonna put him at an A. Now you're not gonna be picking him up every game, but more situational pick. Drogo's A. I think he's average. It depends on what the enemy team has. The only reason I'm not going to put him higher is just because Tyra and Victor on like every team, and probably two of the best DPS in the game currently, at least for console, along with like Ganessa and stuff like that. So that's going to be the reason why I just put him at an A. I think he's extremely average right now, though. I heard he's a lot better on PC, but on console, if you can play decent Drogos and you're going against like the right team that doesn't really have too much hit scan to go and take you out of the sky, he can be at least solid. EVB, not going to talk about her very much. Extremely difficult to play on console. I just don't think she's even that really good right now. Unless you're like a god tier EV player, by all means go play her, but I wouldn't pick her over any of the other flanks that are way easier to play. Fernando, can do both things decently well now. He can be a decent off tank and chase things down in the back line. He can be a decent point tank. Just overall, just very average. Fury got hit with a huge nerf. The only reason I'm going to put her SS is just because she does a huge amount of healing still with Solar Blessing. Now, if she did not have Solar Blessing and she had like no talent that did that and she only had Cherish, I'd put her at an S. But Solar Blessing still has an insane amount of damage. Now for Cherish, just because Cherish got nerfed with Cauterize 3 and mainly just because people in Ranked aren't smart enough to dip out of that 2 seconds with cleanse themselves from Cauterize. Cherish really can't keep up if you're going to be picking Cherish against like Cauterize 3 and like a really heavy damage comp. The only reason I really choose like Cherish currently is if you're playing on maps like Timber Mill, Fish Market, things like maybe Frog Isle, to where you have like long lines of sight and you're able to like pocket a flank going into the back line or something, and you're able to sit in the back line and just heal from far away. That's the only couple maps I'd pull Cherish out on currently. Apart from that, you're kind of forced to run Solar Blessing right now, which kind of sucks because they nerfed the wrong thing. Cherish wasn't the problem, it was the amount of damage she was putting out. I think instead of nerfing Cherish, they should have nerfed her ult or her passive, her Wrath meter. Grok, B. Yeah, I know they reworked Grok. Yeah, people are saying he's absolutely insane healer. I really don't get what people are all up in arms about him being like an insane healer now. For what I've played and from what I've seen, yeah, he gets 3 charges of totem. Why does that matter if you can destroy his totem with like 2 shots in like 2 seconds? You can give him as many cooldowns and charges on his totem as you want, but if they keep getting destroyed in like 2 seconds, why the fuck does it matter? I think at this point Grok needs some type of rework. He's just garbage. The only reason you're going to keep choosing him is for Maelstrom. If you're going against like a death ball comp with like a Grover or Rom, something like that on the same team, then Grok will work. Not to mention they also nerf his ult to the point where if you have like two people with Cauterized 2, you have your 2 DPS just focus him during his ult. He's easily killable during his ult now. I don't know. I think he's the only reason you pick him up is for Maelstrom, not even as a healer. His healing is still garbage. They nerfed Spirit's Domain down to 500 with Cauterized 3. It really doesn't do anything. Not to mention you're constantly healing people and you're not getting damage. You're not getting ult charge rate as much. I don't know. I think Grok right now is one of those points where either you rework him or you give him something like insane buffs to the point where he's overpowered and then you just take him down each patch from there. He's one of those types of characters currently because he's absolute garbage. Only, like I said, the only reason I'm putting him at B is just because he's situational with Maelstrom. And if you're going against like Deathball, he's one of the best things to go against like a Grover Rom comp or something like that. Or something that would where the team is constantly grouped up. And they have like a lot of deployables like Yin clones or like Barrack turrets to where you can bounce your shock pulses off of. That's the only reason I'm putting him at a B. If you would, I would just put him at like a healer. As for a healer, I'd put him at like probably either a D or C. Grover A, extremely average. The only thing Grover really has going for him currently is his ult. Even with Cauterized 3, you're going to be doing a shitload of healing and you can keep tanks sustained during the ult. Apart from that, I think he's just extremely average. Imani. I'm going to put Imani at an S. I think she's a solid S currently. One of the better projectile champions in the game. Personally, still my favorite damage champion to play in the game. And my highest level damage champion. The only thing with Imani currently, I think, is kind of holding her back is she's currently has 2 huge bugs. One of them being a visual bug and one of them being like a gameplay breaking bug. There's one bug to where if you get stunned, when you're changing your stances and you get stunned while you're changing your stances, say you're changing from like ice to fire stance and you get stunned during that, you'll get locked out of your abilities and your arms will just go flailing and you'll be locked out of your abilities until you get killed. That's one huge bug she currently has, and it's relatively common. I've had it happen to me a number of times, and it's cost me a lot of lives, and a lot of times I've died over it when I shouldn't have. There's also a visual bug to where if you get after respawning, say you're in like fire stance, it'll visually show you're in ice stance, and even though you're still in your fire stance, visually it'll just have your gauntlets at a blue. It'll show them as blue instead of red, which kind of sucks because some people don't think they're in the right stance and they'll waste their cooldown changing stances when in reality they're in the same stance that they were when they died. I don't know. Apart from that, she's still super solid. Record got nerfed and really isn't that common of a pickup right now in the item shop, so her dragon is just that more good. Great damage. You can use pretty much any stance. A lot of utilities. You can switch between stances now with a 1 second cooldown if need be, which is personally my favorite loadout to run currently. Inara, still one of the best tanks in the game. They gave her a little bit of damage back that was bugged from last patch, so that makes her even better. She has a cripple. She has 3. I'd even say the Stonewall ability is great on decent or certain maps. Rejuvenate built into her base kit. I don't know, if you're constantly healing her, she's kind of unkillable. She just doesn't do that much damage. She has a decent team fight ult with the stun. Great CC ultimate. Not really going to talk about her very much else just because nothing else has really changed with her. Isle, very controversial. I know people are probably going to say, oh, Isle is garbage. The only reason I'm going to put Isle at an S is just because I think DR currently is super valuable. Even with 15% it got nerfed this patch. Even with 15% DR, what was bugged last patch. It was supposed to be nerfed last patch, but it was bugged and it was still giving 25% DR. But even with 15% DR, if you're able to pocket something like a ROM, which really appreciates DR, or something like a Koga, or like something that can dive the back line, and you just follow something around just to get like 1 or 2 kills each team fight, that's huge value, especially with things like Luna. Having the 5-man zone, you just throw Luna on the point, that's still incredibly valuable. That's the reason why I'm putting her at an S. Apart from that, her loadouts currently force you to run Moonlight at 5, which I really don't like. just because I think her healing is a little bit underwhelming. And if you don't run Moonlight at 5, you're constantly out of resource. I think they need to buff her resource to give her more base resource capacity, or buff her healing, or revert her healing back to what it normally was numbers wise. Or if not, at least for me, she's still super fun to play. You just have to have the right loadout. I know people say she's not really fun to play. Oh, she's a heal bot now, blah blah blah. It just all depends on what loadout you're running. If you're running a loadout that you're constantly being forced to heal, and you're constantly out of resource, yeah, it ain't gonna be fun to play. But if you have the right loadout and you have plenty of resource and stuff like that, and you have whatever you need, she's still incredibly fun to play. Genos, only reason I'm putting Genos at an S just because of his utility, the Luminary boost, and the cripple on his grab with his grab talent, Power Colosseum. If it was for sheer healing, Genos is probably one of the worst healers in the game. The only reason you're picking Genos is if you have like a great damage dealer, great damage player, or like a flank, you're going to be pocketing most of the game, and you're going to rely on them to get kills. The only reason Genos will work is if your team consistently gets kills in the point fight. If you're trying to sustain the other comp and the other team, it won't work. You'll lose. That's the only problem with Genos. He just can't keep a team up. He requires your team to be just to consistently get kills and constantly steamroll. Garbage at healing, though. He's absolute garbage at a healer. The only reason I'm putting him at S is what I said before. Khan, one of the best off tanks in the game. The only reason I'm putting him at an S is just because his stun is absolutely fucking broken on his commander's grab. A 2-second stun on his commander's grab currently. I don't know. It's pretty much an instant kill on almost anything that doesn't have like resilience too. And your team is like some type of as long as your team isn't like absolutely fucking stupid and can capitalize on the kills on your stuns, then Khan is absolutely great. And then even as like an off tank, you have like a Victor, or you have like a Tyra follow you around all game, and you just go farm the back line, you stun people out, and have the Tyra clean up after you. Absolutely fucking broken. Khan needs to be nerfed. The stun at least needs to be nerfed down to like 1 second stun. Also, the other reason is you have like a pretty much an instant kill every point fight with your ult. As long as you land your ult, you're pretty much getting an instant kill. That's why Khan's an SS, one of the best off tanks in the game currently. Personally, I don't like playing him just because I think his gun feels super clunky now since they got rid of Storm of Bullets, being the best talent. I really don't care for playing him. I'd rather play like an Atlas or like a Barrack now, or like an Inara, or even a Rom. Rom's way funner to play for me. Knessa SS. How far are we in? The reason why I'm going to put Knessa SS at SS is just for the sheer amount of damage she does. I do anticipate her actually getting her damage nerfed, or at least steady aim getting her the damage nerfed. Being able to do 1200 and then 15, I think it's like 1600 damage consistently as long as you're landing fully charged shots, absolutely broken. The only reason I would say that she isn't like absolutely fucking like over-sensibilizing broken character is that she gets over super easily. And flanks right now probably have the best mobility that they've ever had. Things like Andro, Maeve, Koga, Zin being like the best checks for and pretty much guaranteed kills as long as you keep going after all game. The only problem is that you create is if you let her free fire. If you just let her free fire on your tanks and stuff like that, shit's going to be getting blown up. Shit's going to be constantly getting killed. Just insane amounts of damage. Granted, I only pull her out on like certain maps. The only maps I would like use her on is Splitstone Quarry, Frog Isle, and Fish Market. Apart from that, I would not use her on any other maps. But still insane, just for the sheer amount of damage she does. That's the reason why I put her at best sniper in the game. Koga S. They nerfed Koga's Adrenaline Junkie. I think it was down. It was 75 for 1 unit of energy. Now they buffed it or nerfed it up to 85, which really doesn't seem like a huge nerf, but when you do play him, it's more of a nerf, like a huge nerf, than what it seems. They also nerfed a lot of pretty much his dash builds. They nerfed his healing on his dash and his ammo regen on his dash. The only really way you can play Koga now and be at least decent is run like an SMG based build. run like ammo regen during agility, healing during agility, and stuff like that. They also nerfed trigger happy by half, so now the max you can get is only 25%. Just overall, the reason why I'm putting him at an S, I don't think he's ban worthy anymore. He's way easier to kill. It takes him a lot more damage to get his energy bars fully back, which I think is a huge nerf to him as well. Granted, he can still destroy teams, and if you want to pair him with a Genos or even a Torbull for some reason, then by means I'll go ahead, just because I think he's still super solid that way. But by himself, he's way easier to kill. Granted, he's still insanely good, just not like top tier ban worthy in my honest opinion anymore. Lex B lacks mobility. He has decent damage. He just lacks mobility. He's incredibly slow. He just doesn't have the mobility. Honestly, he just lacks mobility, and there's really no reason to use him over like any of the other flanks currently in the game. That's Lex's problem. Leon S, like I said earlier with Tiberius, Leon's super solid currently. The only thing she really struggles with is ROM. Really can't do very much versus ROM, but as for like a burst character, if you're looking for like something that can really check a Talus, a Sky, sometimes even a Victor from long range with Eminence, stuff like that. If you want something that's like really bursty, if you're not picking Tiberius or not picking any type of other burst, Leon is still great. Maeve, man, I've been waiting for this day to come all the entire time already. Maeve, currently, in my honest opinion, on console, is the best flank in the game. They nerfed her predation card to where it does not work on deployables or shields. Baby nerf. It doesn't matter whatsoever. The only reason why I say Maeve wouldn't even really need a nerf, I think Maeve currently is perfectly balanced, being that she's one of those characters in the game, which I think is absolutely awesome, that actually rewards good aim and good game sense. If you cannot aim with Maeve, and you cannot land your daggers, you can't aim worth shit, then you're not going to be able to play a good Maeve. The players that are top tier Maeve players land all their daggers, they have great game sense, they know when to manage their cooldowns, they know when to go in, they know when to go dive the backline, they know when to stay at range and poke from a distance. The great Maeve players have everything they need to play the character. If you don't have great aim or like cooldown management or game sense with Maeve, you're not going to play her very well, and she's easily pickable, easily like super killed if you're not playing her well. Just because she's extremely squishy, but with the amount of mobility she has, she's very hard to lock down. I think out of all the characters in the game as well, Maeve currently probably has the best mobility out of any character in the game. Extremely hard to lock down, especially if you're a Maeve main like myself. I also main Maeve. Extremely happy just because I can pick her up pretty much almost any ranked game now. If I'm feeling frisky, if I don't want to play Angel, if I don't want to play Koga, I pick up Maeve. If I'm like first or second pick, and I just slay and carry games with Maeve. If you're a great Maeve player and you're a Maeve main, rejoice, because I have a feeling they're probably going to end up nerfing her for no reason this next patch, even though I think she's perfectly balanced right now. I think they just need to buff some other flanks or buff something else to make her a little bit less, I wouldn't say lethal, just because I'd say the only people that play her is like top tier players, but I don't know. Extremely good right now. Best flank in the game on console. If you're not playing Maeve, go into the training range, test her out, go into casual games, test her out, see what you can do with her. If you can get good at her, then play her in ranked, just because she's absolutely insane. Makoa A. I think they just nerfed Makoa too much. I don't know, he's still super solid. If you're like a god tier Makoa main, then by all means go pick him up, just because the hook can still change team fights. The hook is great, but having the hook on like a 11-second cooldown now, I don't know. I think he's just your typical average tank on console currently, in my honest opinion. Some people are probably going to disagree with me, but that's honestly my entire opinion right there. Meldamba, not S. I'm going to put him in an A. The reason why I'm going to put him at an A, just because he's a hit scan healer on console. Yeah, they buffed his Gourd back to what it was originally. Yeah, he does a little bit more healing with Gourd now. Apart from that, he's pretty much the exact same. Decent CC ult, decent healing. Super average. Mogi D, they took one of her best cards away. I thought she was going to be at least somewhat decent. Currently, she's only good on one map, being Jaguar Falls. Even then, you might not even succeed with her, just because she's still god awful. They took away one of her best cards, being that you would get healing if you were shot at during your barrier. You'd get like healing, I think it was. That you worked that card into something completely useless. Mogi, probably one of the worst characters in the game, is at the point where I think they need to either delete her from the game or rework her into a support. She's absolutely fucking awful. I fucking hate her. Absolute garbage. If you pick Mogi in ranks, you're a thrower. You're going to get reported, and you're going to have people yelling at you in the voice chat, and you're going to have people typing and calling you names in the text chat. Pip S, I think he's still a super solid blaster, mainly because of his ultimate, and he still does decent damage for a blaster. Relatively easy to play for the amount of value you do get out of him. Not going to talk about him very much else, just because nothing's really changed about him. As for like a healer, I'd say Mega Potion is probably the best healing talent. Combat Medic is extremely situational, and requires you not to be getting like dove by a flank all game. If you're able to stand there and free fire as a combat medic, you're able to do a lot of healing. But if you're constantly getting dove, it's not fun. It really isn't. Rom, I'd probably say Rom right now is probably either first or second best off tank in the game. The reason why Rom is so good right now, even with the damage nerf, they nerfed some of his DR. Yeah, whatever. It didn't do anything to him. He still does just the same amount of damage he did last patch. He has a great CC ult, which is up pretty much almost all the time. Which can break things like barrack shield, Nara walls, other types of deployables. Great mobility. The only thing that can really lock him down is like CC or something like a Genos or like a stun or something like that, or like a cripple. They reduced his dash range on his Juggernaut. I mean, it really didn't do too much. You still have insane range, and you can still run around a long time with his movement ability. I think what really makes Rom really good is he pretty much can just dive the backline freely, and he can 1v1 somebody. As long as it's not like a 2v1, he can 1v1 pretty much any character in the game and get a free kill. I think what makes Rom so good. And then he takes so much attention away from like the front line and like the mid game, to where everybody has to like focus on him in the back line, which allows for like other things like a flank or like a DPS to get in and get some kills and capitalize on all the attention that Rom brings to the enemy team. If he's diving the enemy team's backline or causing a bunch of havoc in the backline, that's what makes Rom so good right now. The only thing, like I said, the only thing that can really 1v1 him, not counting ultimates and not counting like any execute abilities, would be Cassie. But Cassie really ain't that good on console. And the only other thing that could maybe 1v1 him is Tyra with Firebomb. But even then, he'd have to run a Burn Monster. So, which I guess probably is still our best talent, but still, that's like the only two things in the game that can legit 1v1 Rom. Ruckus A. I think the only reason I'm going to put him in an A is just because Wrecker got nerfed. His self-shield is a lot better. He's able to get in the backline and actually box with a lot of things now. And not get like pretty much instantly killed just because Wrecker was so good. I think he's decently solid. As an off tank, as a point tank, he's garbage. If you pick him either Rom, like I said, even Rom or Ruckus as a point tank, you're going to lose the game instantly because they don't. Rom as a point tank never works. All the games that you have like a solo tank, point tank, Rom, you're going to lose the fucking game. Do not pick solo point tank Rom or Ruckus, please. Thank you. Saris S, just your typical heal bot. They buffed her heal back to 1.5 seconds. Yeah, okay. It really didn't even do much. She's still a heal bot. You're still going to be pushing one button all the game and just standing there and healing your teammates. She offers nothing for her support apart from like an okay ult, where if you're lucky you can maybe catch one or two people and get like a decent ult. I don't know. Apart from that, you're going to be running away with shadow travel all game every time you get dove by a flank, or you're just going to be standing there and pressing one button majority of the game. Saris is fucking boring to play. Shaolin. I'm going to put Shaolin in A just because I think if you can play a good Shaolin right now, you can do decent. He does do decent damage output. They also buffed his arrow fall off to the point where you don't have to have like fully charged or like half charged arrows to do damage now, which is insane buff. I think he's also just super solid just because you have to buy, like, I think Illuminate 2 to even check him during his ult. If they have Illuminate 1, you can still get away with, like, his withdraw and his ult. Overall, I think it's average if you can play him. That's the problem if you can play him. He's a projectile. His arrows are relatively small projectile size, so I don't know. Sky S. I think Sky right now is not worth a ban anymore. I really don't think Sky is worth a ban. Unless you're picking like a certain team that you really don't want to deal with Sky. The only reason I'd say maybe ban Sky is if you have like a team that really can't deal with like super high bursty damage. If you have like a team with like a solo healer Genos, maybe Sky will be a decent ban. Or if you're running a team with like Rom and Nara with like a Genos for some reason, then ban out the Sky. But I really don't think Sky is worth a ban like every game now. She's actually killable during her healing smoke now, guys. Her healing talent got nerfed enough to the point where she's actually killable. Wow. Thank you, Hi-Rez. You caused me so much fucking panic and distress just because she was fucking unkillable last patch. And absolutely fucking a terror to go against. Now she's actually killable. Thank you, Hi-Rez. Strix. B. One of the worst DPS in the game, I'd say, just because I think they nerfed the absolute fucking shit out of him. The only 3 maps I'd see him being good on is Frog Isle, Splitstone Quarry, and what was it? Fish Market. Those are the only 3 maps I would ever choose him on. Apart from that, he's garbage. I think what Strix really lacks now, yeah, he does the instant damage. He does the 1200 every 1 second with his rifle. I think what really holds him back now is he has shitty talents. Crack shot absolutely fucking useless. Sucks ass. Unauthorized use. You could arguably say that's his best talent, but personally, I can never land the flare, and the flare takes a lot of aim. I'm not used to aiming it. So for me, I've pretty much been using Nocturnal, which means hit the enemy team if you have like a Sky in your team, which isn't really smart to stack, but if they want to check you, they just buy Illuminate 2, and then they can just find you all game, no matter how slow your stealth meter goes down and decreases. And they also, I think they nerfed a lot of his loadout cards way too much. There's so many loadout cards that you really need, but there's not enough points. You need cooled mags. You really want cooled mags. You want ult charge on Talon rifle hits. You want extra ammo. Having 5 ammo and constantly having to fucking reload isn't fun. At least for me personally. I don't know, those people, maybe some people like to reload. You can just say, but I guess you can just say buy deft hands, but still, I don't really want to have to buy and waste an item slot on deft hands if I really don't have to. Personally, I don't know. I think this nerfed a lot of his loadout cards way too much. I think they need to go back and revert his loadout cards and just nerf his damage. I think that's what they really need to do. They nerfed the wrong thing. Like I said, I don't use him on those certain maps. Apart from that, he just gets easily dove and easily killable. Especially with a lot of the flanks having insane mobility, insane damage from range and at close range. Currently with things like Maeve, Andro, Koga, Sky, stuff like that, it makes it really hard for Strix to box with him at close range. Even Kanessa can like deal with flanks to an extent. As long as you see the flank coming and trying to dive you, you can still do decent amounts of damage just because she does such insane amounts of damage to the point where if you can hit like 1 headshot or like a fully charged shot, most of the flanks are at least half dead at that point. With Strix, you can land 1 shot, but if they dive you to the point where they close the distance super quick, then you kind of have to run like either like a no-scope shot and hope you land the shot, or you have to hope you land all your pistol shots and you have enough ammo in your pistol to the point where you can actually kill them. Which in most cases really ain't. In most cases you die before you can even get that amount of damage. Talus S, I really don't think Talus is worth a ban every game now, guys. I still see people banning Talus in every game. If you want to ban Talus, then by means, I'll go ban Talus if you don't pan on like getting one of his checks. I think right now Leon and Tiberius being ranked really check Talus to the point where I'd put him at like an S. Don't get me wrong, he can still carry games. He's still insanely good. But I think Tiberius being in the game is probably the best check to Talus there is, just because you can just burst him. As long as you land all your shots. I'm saying if you land every single shot on the Talos, which I guess could be kind of hard to do just because he has a small hitbox and he moves kind of quick. But if you can land all your shots on him during combat trance, you kill the Talos before he kills you. That is, if you see him before. If it's like a 1v1, if he jumps you, then that's a different story. But as long as you're like actively hunting him down all game and killing him before he jumps you, then you can deal with Talos easily as Tiberius or Leon. Not worth a ban every game, guys. Terminus, arguably a huge ban currently. I think Terminus is one of the best off tanks. Even a point tank, he's a great point tank or an off tank. He plays both roles well. His shield is still almost up all the time. They nerfed, I think, one of his cards to where he's supposed to get Siphon recharge. I think it was one of his Siphon cards. I forgot which one it was. Baby nerf didn't do anything to him. Still top tier. One of the best tanks in the game. Torvald B. I think Torvald's one of those characters where he's going to be ridiculously overpowered or he's going to be absolute garbage. Can we please rework Torvald now, please? Torvald is now garbage. The only reason you're going to be choosing him if you plan on steamrolling a game and just like 4-0ing somebody in the enemy team. If you do not 4-0 somebody and the game goes longer than like, I'd say like 6 to 10 minutes, and people start stacking Wrecker or they start adapting to your playstyle with Torvald, he's garbage. You're pretty much just like a wasted slot on your team for something else you could add. At that point, he's garbage. No reason choosing Torvald over like a Genos at this current moment if you want like some type of damage amp or like some type of protections. Tyra, SS, still best damage character in the game. No brainer just because of the firebomb. Checks things like ROM, Terminus very easily. That's huge value. Not going to talk about her very much. Victor, I'd say probably the best DPS in the game alongside Tyra and I guess Knessa, but she's only good on 3 maps, so I'd probably put Knessa and Victor in the same boat. You're going to be first picking her, or either banning, even arguably a ban. I wouldn't really ban Tyra just because she's a lot easier diveable, but Victor with lifesteal and burst mode. Burst mode does way too much damage. I think burst mode needs to be nerfed. It does way too much damage with so little drawback, and Victor being such an easy character to play really makes burst mode pretty much like a no-brainer. Even on like short range maps like Bright Marsh or something where you wouldn't really even need burst mode, you would just pick it up anyways just because damage is such insanely good. He just does one thing way too well, and that's damage. Then he has insane self-sustain with his lifesteal loadout card, which makes him decently hard to actually dive if you don't have like at least COD 2, or if you have something that isn't like super bursty. Vivian, I'm not really going to talk about her very much just because I think she's still, you ban her like almost every game. If you don't ban her and you don't have anything like her, like dive her and check her like every game, you have to have like a specific plan to check a Vivian. If you just let her sit in free fire the entire game, it's really hard for your healers to keep up and your tanks to deal with, especially currently. I think Vivian's still worthy of a ban like almost every game. If she somehow doesn't get banned, you first pick her and you just carry the game. Willow, E. I think Willow's is overall is super weak, way too weak. Buff her damage, please, and buff her mobility a slight bit. I think she's overall is super weak. If you don't pick Blast Flower, she just does garbage damage. There's no reason to pick her over like any of the other blasters in the game. Ying. I'd say Ying is still super solid. The reason why you're going to be picking her is mainly for her ultimate and her healing output. Now, this does not mean pick damage Ying or Renaissance Ying. If you pick damage Ying or Renaissance Ying, your healing is like half decent at best. If you want to get the max value out of Ying, you pick Life Exchange, you stack Chronos, you stack Morale Boost, and you go from there. You need to play Life Exchange Ying. I'm sick of all the damage Yings. I'm sick of all the Renaissance Yings. They're garbage. You're not getting as much value out of those talents than you would from Life Exchange. The 800 burst heal has a lot of value currently. I don't know, people don't seem to see that for some reason. Xin, I'd say Zin's probably the second best flank in the game. Xin needs to have his damage nerfed. He does way too much damage with no little drawback. Him getting the Pierce on his heavy swing was an absolute mistake. He does way too much damage at range. Which I guess you could say the same thing about Alt and Maeve, but Maeve you actually have to have skill to land your daggers at range because they have an arc. If you throw them at long range, they have an arc to the daggers. They slowly fall at as far as they go. Sin doesn't have that. You just swing, and your heavy swing just goes wherever it wants to go, where you aim it. They nerfed Guillotine to where you can actually kill him during his Guillotine. He's not immune to CC or damage. I mean, having an instant execute on any tank in the game, even like a ROM or something like that, is still extreme value. Absolutely broken. I think they still need to nerf Guillotine or nerf something. Overall, I'd actually nerf Zin's damage. Put his heavy swing down to like 600 and nerf his 2 other swings down to 300. 300, 600, and 300 I think would be decently good as a good start. And then see how he does from there. I think he just does way too much damage. He's still incredibly safe. They also nerfed his Smolder talent down to 15% health during Smolder. It's still really good. Apart from that, that is going to be the tier list, guys. How far I'm in. Holy shit. Well, you guys got a 50-minute video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this. If you guys did enjoy, leave a like. Let's see if we can get this video to 20 likes if you guys want me to continue doing these console tier lists. These in-depth console tier lists. And be sure to share this video if you are new. Subscribe. Really honestly appreciate it. It helps me out as a content creator and it helps out the channel immensely. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. I will have some other videos. I should have a loadout video or something coming up here in the next week or two. And I'm planning on doing something where I discuss ranked and the current state of ranks currently. Just because I think it's god-awful. That's entirely different videos. If you guys are looking forward to those, subscribe and you guys can get notified for those. Apart from that, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If there's anything you guys want to say, let me know. I like discussing with you guys. I do reply to most of the comments, so that's great. I'll see you guys in a future video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in.